When we got in front of my house, I swallowed and turned to him. "How long have you been in love with me?" He paused at my question and then rubbed the back of his neck. A blush started to appear on his face and he chuckled. Since I was 10, but I never got the courage. When I heard you and William broke up, I wanted to give you a few weeks before confessing. Little did he know that I'm in love with his dad. And I also slept with him the same night me and William broke up. Can I give you my answer in a few days? I'm not feeling well, I said, my voice shaking. But it was further from the truth. I never viewed Jason, my best friend, anything more than a friend. To hear he had a crush on me since we were both 10 was shocking. He nodded, smiling, and kissed my cheeks. Of course, Alexa, take your time. Let me know when you feel better, okay? Hello everyone, my name is Alexa. I'm a senior in university currently, and if I'm being honest with you, I'm having a really big problem. If you guys enjoy this video, please be sure to like and hit that subscribe button. That'll really help grow this channel so people like us can continue to share our stories with you guys. So me and Jason have been friends for as long as I remembered. In fact, we have been attached at the hip since kindergarten. Jason was like a brother to me. He was funny, kind, sweet, and always knew how to make me laugh without trying. We had weekly sleepovers, dinner at one another's house, and you'll always see us around the city together. There was nothing stronger than our bond. In fact, we shared everything together. But there's a huge secret I've been hiding from him. I'm in love with his dad. Let me start off by saying before you judge, please hear me out. Jason's mom and his dad's wife ditched them when Jason was in first grade. His dad had to raise him by himself. My mom and dad often brought meal kits over to their places since we lived just across the street from one another. In the beginning, I was terrified of his dad. He often didn't speak. In fact, he chose to only nod or shake his head in response to questions. Yet, when he talked to me, it was as if he was a different person. He treated me differently from how he regarded everyone else. What really made me fall in love with him was when me and Jason were in his yard playing on the swings when we were 14. I was swinging carelessly when I noticed a bee. His dad gardened and loved to plant roses. I loved seeing this side of him. Yet he has never given anyone his roses. But that was besides the point. I am terrified of bugs of any sort, and I jumped off the swings midair and fell hard onto the ground. I remembered crying and my knees bleeding badly. Jason had left to use the bathroom in the house, so imagine my surprise when someone princess carried me. I stopped crying momentarily to realize it was Jason's dad. His face was filled with worry and concern as he stared at my scraped knees. It's okay, he said soothingly. Time seemed to freeze in that moment. It was like nothing else in the world mattered but me and him. He gently scooped me up in his arms and led me into the house, where he cleaned and then band-aided my knees. And then he gave me a singular red rose. Afterwards, he never tried to interact with me ever again. He never tried anything and would make an effort to be in a different room whenever I came over, which was often. It really made me miserable when I couldn't see him, but there was nothing I could do. All I knew was that despite him being 15 years older than me, I was in love with him. The boys I knew in school seemed to be immature compared to him. Even in my local college where I attended classes, I wasn't interested in anybody. I must admit I had a lot of boys that tried chasing me, but that was all they were, boys. I wanted a man. I guess in my heart no one was able to beat Jason's dad. I guess that's why in freshman year I decided to give it a try with a senior. He was older than me by 3 years and treated me well. If I have to admit it, I guess part of me wanted to make my best friend's dad jealous. Since Jason and I were close, he also got to know my boyfriend William. Turns out, William only wanted to go out with me to get me to sleep with him. When I turned him out one night, he finally exploded on me. I've never seen William so mad in the 2 years that I knew him. He said I wasn't even that beautiful, and that I was only interested in teasing him. He dumped me right there and then. I was bawling my eyes out. I knew I couldn't go home because my parents were going to bombard me with questions. Jason was part of the college's soccer team as well. It was already 5, so he should be getting home soon. I needed my best friend, so I took the bus to his house. On the way there, I had texted Jason to make sure he was going to be home today, but I guess he must be in the shower or taking a nap after practice. Knocking on Jason's house, I expected him to greet me at the door. What I didn't expect was his dad. I swallowed, looking at the floor and letting my hair fall a bit over my face to cover my eyes. I fought the rising tension building as neither one of us said anything. It seemed that it was only when I was crying that he took notice of me. I wasn't sure if that was depressing or laughable. "Oh, hello, Mr. Page." I gave him my best facade smile in hopes I looked well composed enough. I tilted my head to the side, peeking in instead of his handsome face. "I'm sorry, is Jason home?" He's eating with his friends today, he said, his voice gruff and dangerously low. Actually, I think he might not be home tonight. Right. I see. Then never mind then. I chuckled dryly. The last thing I needed was the man I had been in love with to see me crying. What happened? He growled out. Concern and worry were etched on his perfect, handsome face that I almost felt as if I was drowning. In a split second, all I could think of was him. I swallowed, licking my lips slowly. His eyes followed like a predator before I ducked my head. It's nothing. I tried to lie, but it was no use. The hold he had on me tightened. Alexa, he grumbled out, and a shiver went down my spine. Don't lie to me. My boyfriend. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I felt like I was a child being scolded. Except with my crush, who was not only my best friend's dad, but so much older than me. Yet my heart seemed to want him more than ever. I dared to believe that he was jealous with the way his grip tightened till it burned at the mention of my boyfriend before I corrected myself. Well, ex-boyfriend now. He broke up with me just an hour ago. You have a boyfriend? He said. Irritation and annoyance danced in his tone. Had, I corrected, his grip loosening. The whiff of spaghetti caught my attention, and I stared into his house. I haven't eaten all day thanks to my crying, and I was starving now. I peered up at Mr. Page. Sorry, were you having dinner? I thought Jason would be home by now before he changed his mind, he grumbled. Would you like to join me? Only if I can have a drink, I laughed, though I was already making my way in. I've practically memorized everything from Always Coming, yet this was the first time I've been alone with him, and I was nervous. You're not even 21, he denounced, his eyebrows knitted together. I huffed, rolling my eyes. If he knew that Jason drank all the time when we went to parties, then he'll be saying something completely different. I took a seat across from him and took a sip of my wine. My birthday is in 2 hours. I know. My heart skipped a beat. He sounded so tormented that he knew, like it was wrong. Yet it was the most romantic thing. I never told him about my birthday, and Jason must have at one point. But for him to remember it? It had to mean something, right? We ended up enjoying dinner together. He was a talented cook, which shocked me. My parents and I thought for years he couldn't cook, which is why we offered them meal kits. He grinned and winked when I called him out, and by the end of the night, I completely forgot about my no-good ex-boyfriend. Especially after one too many drinks that I decided I was going to get my birthday present from him. I never wanted anything from him. In fact, I never expected anything from my best friend's dad. But for 1 second, I want to forget about everything else. I pushed myself off my feet. His eyes trained on me as I gathered every courage in my body to plant myself into his lap. He tensed. His mouth parted to say something, but I cut him off with my lips. I was kissing my best friend's dad. Let me tell you, that night would be something I would never forget. The next day, I thought we would talk about us, where we would go from there. I thought he felt the same way, especially after last night. Yet he grimly shook his head in disgust as he sighed. We can't continue. It was a drunk mistake. I'm sorry. My heart was absolutely shattered. This man held a piece of my heart, and he maimed it without even having to do anything. He gave me another red rose before he told me to get out of the house before Jason came home. I ended up more heartbroken than when I broke up with William. See, I thought Mr. Page didn't find me attractive, but it turned out he turned me down because of his son. Jason actually confessed to me a few weeks later while we were sitting on our usual swings. My eyes were only focused on his dad tending to his rose garden when Jason cleared his throat, snapping my attention to him. I like you, Alexa, he said. Time froze again, but this time, my heart didn't skip a beat. In fact, I was horrified, so much that I felt sick, actually. I've been feeling rather fatigued for days now. Yet the urge to puke was stronger than ever because of Jason's confession. My best friend is actually in love with me. Jason never pushed for an answer right away, choosing to walk me home because I needed to lie down. When we got in front of my house, I swallowed and turned to him. How long have you been in love with me? He paused at my question and then rubbed the back of his neck. A blush started to appear on his face and he chuckled. Since I was 10, but I never got the courage. When I heard you and William broke up, I wanted to give you a few weeks before confessing. Little did he know that I'm in love with his dad. And I also slept with him the same night me and William broke up. Can I give you my answer in a few days? I'm not feeling well, I said, my voice shaking. But it was further from the truth. I never viewed Jason, my best friend, anything more than a friend. To hear he had a crush on me since we were both 10 was shocking. He nodded, smiling, and kissed my cheeks. Of course, Alexa, take your time. Let me know when you feel better, okay? To my utter horror, I didn't get better in the few days. I was throwing up and was always tired. After my parents went to work, I decided to order a pregnancy test and took it. My heart was racing at that possibility, but it was the only thing left to explain it. Lifting it up, I saw 2 red lines. I'm pregnant, and I'm carrying my best friend's dad's child. What should I do? I don't want to lose my best friend, but I'm also scared of what everyone would say once they found out that I slept with Jason's dad.